What's up, people? I am back for another video. I will be reviewing The Babysitter tomorrow. I was gonna do it yesterday. Some personal shit happened, so I just didn't do a video. But I'll be doing that tomorrow because I also figured we might as well get to this one since I've been talking about this the last bit. We will be roasting the new Little Mermaid, which I watched for free, and it is bad. It is as bad as I thought it was gonna be. If anything, I would say it's worse. Easily the worst film I've seen all year. I mean, as I was even saying for a while, and I guess I could still, to an extent, say this. Mostly everything compared to last year, where there was by this point last year, there was already a bunch of shit out. I'll admit this year, minus this movie, I've largely enjoyed mostly everything. This and then I guess 65 I'll throw in there, but that was more of a disappointment than necessarily. This was dog shit. This was and I'm probably what I'm going to title this review is Soulless. This movie was soulless. It had no soul, and not just in the it was a there was no life to it. It was boring as shit. I'm not gonna lie. I had to put because I was watching on my phone, so I had to put Scream on in the background. I needed something good to kind of at least keep my adrenaline. Because I'm not gonna lie, I was fucking almost falling asleep. I almost fell asleep. My eyes there was a point where my eyes were kind of starting to do this. It was bad, man. It couldn't keep my attention. And I'll admit, like I said about the original, I think it's a good movie, but it is a bit girly. But it kept my attention. I wasn't bored. And it was weird because they simultaneously wanted to give the cliff notes of the the movie, the original movie, but then also simultaneously want to tell make it long as shit. There was no reason for this movie to be 2 hours. They did it because reasons. Halle Bailey's not a good actress. I'll give her, she's an okay singer, but she's not a good actress. She makes the same face over and over. She doesn't exude I think that's all of the movie in general. No one exudes any presence. Javier Bardem, who was in No Country for Fucking Old Men, one of the greatest films ever made, and you in this just made him boring as shit. No emotion, no inflection, no nothing. Just deliver your lines, be all boring. And I think that was the problem. Almost everybody just felt bored in this movie. Sebastian Flounder and a Scuttlebutt was that. I'm gonna have to make a Scuttlebutt thing, her own, because she easily the worst thing in the movie. Every time Awkwafina talked, and it's weird because I was fine with her in Renfield, so it's but I think in Renfield somebody told her to tone it back. Somebody had to, because in this, oh my god, literally anytime she spoke, there was just points where she'd be and I'm just shut the fuck up. I was shut up. It was anytime she spoke, it was bad. The CGI looked horrible. All the underwater scenes. Eric, I thought he was pointless, because basically this movie was really just made so we can have, because it wasn't even Ariel had in the original, right? She had a thing for him after she saw him. She doesn't really in this. In this, it's just, it was more Ariel cared about seeing people than necessarily seeing Eric. There was no chemistry between the two. His singing. I don't know if they knew he couldn't sing, so they had to auto-tune the shit out of it, but it was bothering me. It was everything about this movie. The music, and not even just the singing. I'm just the regular score was just, it was generic city. It was stock music. It's what it felt like to me. A lot of just stock movie music that you could put in any other movie and you wouldn't put it together. It was just literally everything is wrong with this movie. It's the fact they clearly changed Eric because we gotta have the independent woman thing. That's what they were going for. When you don't have to do that, Ariel was already kind of her own woman anyway. But It's these weirdos that, these weirdos who think like, I guess, like being a princess, they think it's demeaning, right? So, or fawning, or a woman in general fawning over a man, they see that as weakness. So they gotta like write her as a girl. She's essentially a girl boss, especially by the end. She saves Eric because in the iconic movie, it was Eric who saves Ariel from, I'll just call her in this, kaiju Ursula. But in this, it was basically Ariel's the one who saves Eric twice, and then fucking, and they clearly did that because we had to have Lamin power. It also makes Eric pointless because they don't even get married in the end. I think they just kind of ride off in the sunset or whatever. He was so useless in the movie. The fact that Flounder looked like an actual fish was just off-putting. It got to a point I'm like, I couldn't even look at him anymore. I just couldn't. It was so off-putting every time he talked. It was, like I said, but the biggest crime above anything is that it's boring. There's just points, it just drags. You could have ended it a million times. I think I was saying this in my friend Mara's stream, or in her chat anyway, that my only positive, I guess, is one thing is, and I didn't think that in any world it would be, but I'm gonna be honest, it was to an extent. I don't think she was great or anything. Melissa McCarthy as Ursula. I was actually like, wow, she actually somewhat sounds like the original. She clearly actually was the only one who actually researched the fucking character they were playing, because she was like the only one who actually felt like Ursula to me. And the fact that I would say she's just as evil like in the cartoon. I think that's like the one thing the movie I'll give. They didn't, because I was actually thinking they were going to go like the sympathetic route with Ursula, how all these Hollywood reboots have been. I mean, even they kind of did it with Jafar in the last film, even though in Aladdin, even though I would argue he was forgettable, but that's the one thing I do remember. They try to make Jafar sympathetic. In a lot of these movies, especially Disney, they're the ones who always go for sympathetic villains. I'm actually shocked they didn't do that with Ursula this time. She was just as evil. But if I had to give one positive, I'll at least say that. But everything else, the fact that it's soulless, CGI looks horrible, you don't care what's really happening on screen. This movie just makes you just watch the original. There's no need to watch this. You would just be wasting 2 hours of your life that you don't have to. Like, there's no, like, amazing performance, especially Halle Bailey. The people who are saying Halle Bailey is good, you're high. I feel like you're on it's this weird, we're in this era now where you got to give black people, like, what I call it is, bigotry of low expectations, meaning you expect low from black people. So we got to always say everything. And that's what, according to these weirdos, always have to say, like, anything a black person does is good. Even if it's not, we got to lie and say it's good. I'm going to call it what it is. It's like with the special kid, right? Where you got to be nice to him, but I'll at least say there, it makes sense. Black people are not, we're as equal. Halle Bailey sucked. She sucked. That's what I feel like whenever I see people praising her in this movie. They want to try to find one positive and say, well, she was okay. She wasn't. She had the same facial expression the whole time. Her singing's okay. But Lars, I don't know if that's really auto-tune more, but even then, she doesn't exude any presence. Oh, speaking of presence, fucking Javier Bardem, who had all the presence in No Country for Old Men. So it's not like I don't inherently think he couldn't be a good Trident. It's they didn't let him. He just, I don't know if he phoned it in or what, but he had no presence, no gravitas, no inflection in his voice. Even in the scene where, if you remember in the original, where he destroys Ariel's, memorabilia of the above world. It made sense in the original. In this, it just looked like he was throwing a tantrum. Because I was thinking, like, I honestly think they think Triton's whoever wrote this clearly wanted to make Triton look bad and just look. So they made him look like irrational. him even about the above world, at least in the original, it made sense. It wasn't really until she mentioned about going to the above world that's when he freaked out. In this, it just he looks like they want to make him like overprotective dad, but in the original, it kind of was that, but it made sense in the original. This is just not. He's just irrational. They made him. I'm gonna call him a bumbling fool. Same with oh god. Let's get to Sebastian. I know it's a lot of preamble, but I just kind of want to just because I'll admit this is gonna be the roast, so I'm gonna just kind of go off what I'm thinking in my head. Like Sebastian, I get it. He was Jamaican in the original, but the accent in this was fucking distracting. It felt like clearly a fake accent. Like in the original, it felt like a legitimate accent. In this, it feels like someone putting on an act, like an American guy putting on an accent. That's what it felt like every fucking time he spoke. I was just like, this just feels like a fake accent to me. Like clearly someone's doing an accent, and not a good way. Ugh, it just didn't work. None of the music works. The pacing doesn't work. I just wanted it to end. There was a point I just wanted it to end. Um, and it's when they attempt to try to be like the original, it doesn't work. I feel like Eric and Ariel in this had zero chemistry. Ariel's hair bothered me. I know it's a weird thing, especially I'm gonna say it as a straight male pointing that out, but the fact that it really wasn't red, it just looks brown, is distracting. Like her hair is supposed to be like fiery red, and they just you could they race swapped or whatever. Obviously, she's not doesn't look like that, but at least give her red highlight. And dreads don't make sense under fucking water, but whatever. And it doesn't work. This is like I say this is as bad as the Aladdin remake. The Lion King one is still worse just because how egregious that was, and that movie has far more meaning to me. But the Aladdin one, this one's as bad as that. Like, both have the same problem of Soulless, the random changes, which clearly were done for woke reasons. Because, wham and power. They wanted to do that, but there was no need to make Ariel a girl boss. She was already an independent woman, but independent women can still fall in love, but you can't do that. You can't. It's like Disney doesn't want, they don't want any kind of marriage or just tradition or anything like that. They just, clearly that's what they don't want that. So they want just this weird feminist, independent shit. And it's independent in quotes because they're not really independent. They just want girl bosses. That's how they write characters now, especially full, least female characters. Ariel in this too was, I'm gonna say it, she was kind of bitchy. It was weird. Like, why are Flounder and Sebastian friends with her? I'm like, she seems kind of bitchy. Like, she always seemed annoyed when they were around. I don't know. In the original, Ariel seemed like whimsical and likable and just, like you wanted to be around her. In this, I'm just like, she just seems bitchy. I'm gonna say it. I'll just say it. She's bitchy. She seemed bitchy and condescending, and she just was not likable at all. And Halle Bailey is just not a good actress, and I just feel like people are only saying that because they want to try to find something positive. But at least with me, I'll say the only positive I could think of is Ursula, and it's somewhat because there are points where I do feel like she's putting it on and overly trying too hard, but she was like the only thing because Halle Bailey just isn't it. She can't act. There's no presence with her. Like, even though it's voice acting, I thought Jodie Benson, I think is the name of the original actress who did Ariel in the original. She had presence, even just with her voice. This chick didn't. Halle Bailey didn't. And there was not a case. Obviously, y'all know how I feel about the whole race swapping thing. It's never about who's best for the job, but it's just it's obvious here. Halle Bailey was not best for the job. You could try to say she wasn't. But anyway, out of 10, like a 2. Like, if I'm being honest, that's like probably, and I'm even being overly nice with that. I borderline wanted to say like a negative, but I'll keep it at a 2. There was just nothing there. I never want to see this again. It's disrespectful to the original. There's no need for it. It doesn't have any of the gravitas, none of the characters or the design. Like Atlantica looked terrible. It just looked like because at least in the original movie, Atlantica kind of had a design to it. This just looked like it's just like an underworld underwater. It just looks like underwater. It didn't look anything special or anything. um, and like I said, Aquafina's Scuttlebutt was that's one of the worst voice acting I think I've ever seen. My ears were bleeding when she was singing that fucking song, and they were already playing in the trailer, but in clips. But this was towards the end when she flies in, and Ariel's sleeping or laying in her bed, and then they wake her up, and she starts because she's trying to tell Ariel that Fiona, not Fiona, fucking. I wish I was watching Shrek right now, but anyway, fucking Eric is getting married because they like in the original. Ursula's posing as a different woman. So it's Scuttlebutt trying to tell her, but in song, and then she starts to rap. My ears started bleeding at that point. I was done. It was bad, man. Like I don't understand why why did they have it? There was no need to change Scuttlebutt. Scuttlebutt was out there in the original, but he was likable. Aquafina's annoying as fuck, and like literally anytime she spoke, I was like, I just shut the fuck up, please stop talking. Oh, like my god, it was I like Aquafina, like what the fuck, like why are you a thing? That was what I was thinking the whole time, and it's weird because I liked her in Renfield, but it really makes me think like that is the power of the director. The director of this didn't tell her to hold back and tell her to just be as annoying. Like anytime she's like, and she just is like, wah, like literally that's what it sounded like. I was like, what the fuck? What? Anyway, before I start going on the so-called plot, tomorrow I'll actually be doing something. I'm talking about something I actually like. I will be listing my two videos. I'm going to review The Babysitter so I can still do Babysitter 2 later this week. I guess, because I already told Steve what I got planned this week, so I'm going to do The Babysitter, and then later that night, tomorrow, I'll be listing, and it'll be 11. I thought of 11 favorite movies from 1987. So I already put my list is already put together, so I'll be doing that along with the Babysitter tomorrow. Tuesday, Octopussy, which I fucking love that title. Wednesday, same, continuing with the Bond, since both of these films came out in 83. I'll be reviewing Never Say Never Again on Wednesday. Thursday, Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, R.I.P. Tina Turner. And then Friday, Babysitter 2 or Babysitter Killer Queen, I think is what it's called. And then some point this weekend, or this coming weekend, or next weekend, whatever you want to call it, I'll be ranting about. I found another gem from Screen Rant, so I'll be doing a Screen Rant is Gay Part 4 sometime this week. I'm most likely next weekend, but I'll see if I can maybe try to do it during the week. But if not, it'll be sometime next weekend, since I don't think I have to review anything. Actually, hold on. Before I go into and start roasting this, because I'm not going to do a whole video on it, I watched Fast X today. Because fuck it, I just decided to watch Fast X, and honestly, I enjoyed it, man. I didn't love it. I didn't see Fast 8. I stopped very much at 7, and I barely remember Fast 6. Like I really only remember like the first 4 and 7. I think I did see 6. I just don't really remember it. But I watched Fast 9 or 10, Fast X, whatever the fuck. It was not horrible. Like, I actually genuinely enjoyed it. Fucking Jason Momoa as the villain was awesome. And basically this villain is tied to the villain from Fast 5. Because he's the son of the drug dealer. So basically he wants revenge on Dom. and basically tortures Dom throughout the film, and it works. Like I genuinely, surprisingly enjoyed it. The set pieces were great. I thought the camaraderie. That's like one of those things. I'll be if I'm gonna give one positive, big positive of those movies. The camaraderie between the cast is great. Like they just, it's like it's just there. Like they already like they worked with each other so long. They just like almost it's almost like they can finish each other's sentences, kind of thing. So, but I definitely enjoyed it. The action scenes were fun. Jason Momoa as this like he played this very I'd almost say past like over the top villain who obviously he's out there. He's an out there villain. And he mentioned that he's kind of plays as not femininity, but there's a scene that he's in a dress, but it's done in a way where it works. Like it's over the top, but it works within the plot because how crazy he is, and it works. I genuinely, surprisingly enjoyed it. So I just kind of wanted to talk about that really quick. But other than that, let's get started roasting this dog shit. I can't believe I watched it. You got to thank the memers who meme me as the Little Mermaid for this video, because I was gonna skip this, and I kind of wish I did. Anyway, let's get started. Cheers. So basically, this movie, like what I mean, cliff notes, they kind of like skip a lot of the beginning. Like King Triton wants his daughter. I guess he does this, I don't know, like ceremony with like all his daughters. And Ariel isn't there because she's looking at a shipwreck, the shipwreck like in the original. Then a shark attacks her and Flounder. And the fucked up thing is, the Flounder's voice really isn't bad. But it's like, why didn't they just make it animated? Why did you have to make it look so off-putting? Because like I said, anytime fucking Flounder spoke, I'm like, I can't look at you. You're just, it's too fucking trippy. And not in a good way. It's just too ugly to look at. It's like, no. It doesn't work for me. It's too unnatural. I think that's the word I'm thinking. Very unnatural. Like the fucking dead fish eyes, but he's speaking. So they managed to escape the shark, and basically, kind of like in the original, she her dad doesn't like humans because they explain that her mom died because of humans, and it doesn't even. I know in the original Ariel had sisters, but in this, there's no like there's no setup, there's no build up. Like, oh, here's Atlantica. Like, no, they just kind of go into it. She then goes to the above world, and this is where she sees the fireworks. She first sees King Eric, but in the she climbs on the boat and like watches him because there's like a canoe on the side of the boat, right? A big ship, and then so I guess this thing was called the Coral Moon meeting. They don't explain what it is. You just kind of told, oh, you missed this meeting that we're told is important. We're not going to show you. That's the big problem with in general, a lot of movies now. They don't show. They fucking tell. So, she then, I'm not gonna lie, I only watched this once, and I'm gonna only watch it once, so I have to like go by memory. So basically, they try to do this like Eric and Ariel have like a parallel. Like Eric's trying to, I guess it's reversed. Like he wants to get into the sea, and he feels like he's the outlet. I guess fucking um the freak, not the freak, but the outcast in his family. I guess because in this one he's adopted for some fucking reason. They made him adopted, even though in the original he's a prince. But he feels like he's the outcast in his family, just like Ariel. And oh, I'm supposed to be doing this because my parents told me I'm supposed to be. It's like, why? There was no need to make it like, oh, it's parallel. Like, fuck you. It's like beating you with a hammer. Like, oh, we're gonna say it's a parallel, and you're gonna fucking know. And I'm like, it's beating you over the head. It's like on the fucking nose how much they added. It's so connected, guys. It's like, fuck you, movie. I don't need you to. So then the storm arrives, right? Like in the original, she saves him, and then Triton finds out, destroys her um, collectible of the above world, which in this it just looks like he's throwing a fucking tantrum. In the original, it was built, and just because also she loved Eric. That's what really made Triton snap, was that she fell in love with a human. They didn't do that in this, and it's not like she still wants to see the above world, but it's not even really what it is. It's just more like they really were trying to clearly were setting out to make Triton look irrational. And it just didn't. You didn't have to do that. You didn't have to try that hard. You could have done it in a way where maybe he not necessarily looks irrational, but maybe like, because in the original, like he feels bad. After a while, he starts to understand, like, hey, man, I'm kind of driving my daughter away. And in this, they clearly were trying to make Triton like a douche the whole time. And it just, when you set out to do that, you just end up ruining the character. Triton had no purpose in this movie. And the fact that you have, like, once again, Javier Bardem's a good fucking actor. No Country for his performance in that is one of the most amazing performances I've seen in film. And then you waste him. He doesn't have any memorable lines. Even when he first appears, like in the original, when Triton appears, there is gravitas to it. And this is just, oh, you're here now. So he destroys her shit. This is where, I think about where we first see Ursula. Or I think we saw her before. And I'll admit, at least specifically her entrance, I didn't mind Ursula's entrance. It felt somewhat like the original. I do like her voice. Like, Melissa McCarthy seemed like the only one who actually gave a shit. That is the sad part. And I know I've made fun of this woman, at least movie-wise. Like, I think she plays the same character. I'm fat, and I'm like, it's female Kevin Hart. Kevin Smith. No. Female Kevin James. That's who I was thinking of. Fat guy who falls a lot. That's what she played after a while. But in this, I can't front. They actually seemed like the only one who actually tried. I didn't like the whole rave fucking tentacle she had where they glowed. It was distracting. Like, why? I don't know why they thought that would be an aesthetic that looked good aesthetically. It really doesn't. But she seemed like the only one who tried. But then I was watching this and I'm like, where's the eels? And then, oh no, they're there. They just, unlike in the original, if you remember, they're the ones who tell Ariel that about Ursula. But no, in this, it was like a Skype call. Essentially, it was a fucking Skype call, and she sees Ursula, right? Basically, it plays out the same. She does the Unfortunate Soul song, which was okay. If I had to, like I said, it seemed like the Ursula scenes are like the only ones where I'm like, I don't want to kill myself right now. But anytime Scuttlebutt showed up, oh my god, that was when I'm like, I was done. Anytime fucking Aquafina Scuttlebutt showed up, and anyway. So, Flounder and Sebastian, because at this point, Sebastian, or a little bit before, backtracking, Sebastian, obviously, like in the original, is tasked to watch over Ariel. So initially, Ariel, which in this they make Ursula overly sus, like in the original, she turned she has trapped mermaids, right? In this, she straight up kills them, but her whole like hideout looks sus as fuck, and you're like, why would Ariel like? There was no like reason in this that you would believably say Ariel would turn or make the decision. Like, no, this bitch sus. At least in the original, Ursula was believable. You could buy her, at least somewhat. But she ends up making the deal, like in the original. I'm not gonna harp on it because relatively it plays out the same. She gets on land, and this is where we see fucking um yeah, she doesn't have a voice. Fucking Scuttlebutt shows up, obviously like the original. Oh, there's something different about you. It just doesn't. There's none of that wholesomeness like in the original. You're just, this is just a shitty version of the original. It really is. Besides some of the shitty new scenes. So Eric takes her back to the castle, and her mom. In his arc is basically his mom doesn't want him to sail anymore. Gives a fuck, and that he needs to stop falling for these fantasy girls. You don't care. None of this shit matters. And basically they find she starts connecting with Eric because Eric has kind of like her a room full of basically collectibles. It's like they are really like I'm not kidding you when I say you feel like you're getting hit with a sledgehammer. How like, oh, they're parallel, guys. Their stories are so parallel, and like, go fuck yourself. I hate when movies do that. If you're gonna have like something be parallel, don't beat it over the fucking person watching's head. Because for me, that's just annoying. Because it's like you're obviously trying to make it like they're connected because they have similar backstory. Fuck you. Don't do that shit. Then like in the original, the only difference is they tweaked it. It makes no sense why they tweaked it this way. That Ariel, if you remember in the original, she needs to find love, love's true kiss. And she knows. In this, apparently Ursula added like an extra spell to where anytime that's mentioned, it like goes out of Ariel's mind. So it basically so she doesn't inherently know it, which makes no sense why they changed it that way. Like, I don't see why. There was no real reason to change, and it doesn't make any fucking sense. So basically, Scuttlebutt and Flounder and Sebastian, they're like some of the best parts in the original. They're easily the worst parts of the movie in this, because they're the ones who have to really force Ariel to connect. So, if you remember, like in the original, Ariel and Eric get in a canoe, and they're about to kiss, except she pulls away this time because with consent, which is dumb. I don't understand that. That's why they tweaked that whole song, because they had to tweak it to where, fucking Eric. They had to make it about consent, basically, because I guess we need to be told that even though clearly Ariel was in, that's why the whole change is dumb. Because in the original, Ariel clearly wants the fucking kiss. Anyway. So then Ursula, then this is where she the humor is so bad because there's a scene Ursula's looking for like a certain potion or whatever the fuck, and they had to spend like, it was like a good, I don't know, few minutes of just her looking for it, and she can't find it, and she's like raging, and I guess that was supposed to be funny, but it was just annoying and it dragged. But yeah, she finds it, whatever, and this is where we get like the original. She poses as another woman, acting like that's the voice that she heard. And this is where Um, basically, Eric is, announces engagement because he ends up finding Ariel. Because if you remember, Ursula has like the necklace that has Ariel's voice, so that's her. And then they get engaged, and this is where we get the awful scuttlebutt song. Oh my god, I was I wanted to die. I'm not gonna lie. That was so bad. That the acting, the voice acting. I mean, obviously, I found Scuttle annoying in general in this movie, but fuck, that was the most annoying. And then fucking Sebastian joining in didn't help either. Ugh, that whole fucking song was bad. So basically, they have to try to get Ariel to propose. They end up causing havoc at the wedding. Ariel manages to take the necklace back and get her voice back. Reveal happens, and like in the original, Ursula, because Ariel doesn't make it in time, she takes her Ariel back down, forces Triton to make the deal to save his daughter, and it doesn't have that impact like in the original when when Triton's turned. Eric then pisses off Ursula, and this is where we get, I guess I'm gonna call her Kaiju Ursula. I'm gonna harp on the I'm not one for like overly colorful movies, but the original Little Mermaid was colorful. That's what made it work. Like the colors popped. In this, the colors are just, it looks like shit, and they're clearly making it dark because they gotta hide bad CGI. Because that's a trick. There are times it works where you can hide like bad CGI, but in this, it's painfully obvious. Like, especially with the kaiju fucking Ursula seeds. They made it all stormy. You really couldn't see her, but in them, from what I saw, kaiju Ursula looked terrible. The CGI was bad, man. It was painfully amateurish. It was like, we're still doing this? Look at when Spy Kids is better CGI. Like, come on. So, unlike the original, it wasn't Eric who harpooned Ursula. It was Ariel, because we got to have Ariel save herself, because you can't have a woman saved by a man now. And that's clearly what it was. Because they kept the prince, saving the princess, they see as patriarchal and demeaning or whatever the fuck. So they gotta have the woman save herself, because they think for whatever reason when a man saves a woman, she doesn't have any agency. I think that's what it is. It's this whole, I might make a video on this on some point, where the hate for the damsel in distress. I'm not saying there aren't times that trope in me, it can be annoying with men too. It can't be annoying, but there's nothing wrong with every now and then a damsel in distress. There are heroes like Wonder Woman, who in some comics, she gets captured, has to get saved by other people. Doesn't make her any less of a warrior, but that happens. There's nothing wrong with a damsel in distress. But no, you can't have that, according to these freaks. So that's why they changed it and made Ariel, she had to save herself. Because they had a girl boss it. And Trident gets his, I'll admit, I kind of rushed through this at this point. I was just like, okay. So basically, Trident gets his Trident back. Ursula gets killed. Everything kind of goes back to normal. So Ariel is transformed, like kind of like in the original. Ariel gets transformed into a human. They don't get married though. They just kind of ride off in a boat together. That's it. There's no wedding, no nothing. Just they can go off together. It was so fucking bad. This movie was just everything wrong. It had no soul. Like literally everything. Anytime like just the animals in the back, even like the Under the Sea song, which I kind of skipped over, but the Under the Sea song, which if you remember the original purpose of that song was to kind of, convince Ariel. And this, Ariel starts singing along. And if you remember in the original, all the like the fish starts singing. No, 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 they don't do that because they were too fucking lazy. It's like clearly they were too fucking lazy to animate all the fish singing. So they're like, okay, just have Ariel do it. Even though it doesn't make any sense for her to be fucking singing that, because it's the point is to convince her. Oh my god. They like did everything wrong. Like they literally did everything fucking wrong. The music, like just the regular score I'm talking, is just generic. Like it's just stock music like I put in some other fucking movie and you wouldn't see the difference. That's how bad it is. It's like just generic stock music when it's even like Evil Dead Rise. Like, and I know that's not the same type of movie, but the score was good. There's a much better scores this year. Like there's better Puss in Boots. I know that's a cartoon, but that's better than this. Don't watch this. It's boring. Like, that's the big for me. The biggest crime a movie could do is be boring because when I rather do a million fucking things, you bore me. You just don't. You don't. That's when it's bad because if I'm just bored, and that's why when I have to put another fucking movie on to kind of at least keep my adrenaline up so I don't fucking fall asleep. Because I legit almost fell asleep. I'm not gonna lie. There was a point my eyes were starting to kind of get heavy. It was like, shit just kind of happens. And the fact that you wanted to make it like a Cliff Notes version of the original, but then you wanted to make it long as fuck simultaneously. That's the part that kind of bothers me too. Because, like, if you really be honest, it's kind of a Cliff Notes. They skip a lot of the setup. You know? They let you get to know Atlantica and Ariel's affinity for humans. And they build up even before she sees Eric. They don't do none of that. They just like, oh, we're just going to skip that, but then we're going to make the movie long as fuck, too. There's no need for this to be 2 hours and 15 fucking minutes or some shit, like however long it was. It was like this new songs. And if we're going just the songs from like the actual singing, all of them were bad. Especially Eric's. Eric's song was horrible. It felt like they auto-tuned him because the guy couldn't actually sing. So they're like, just auto-tune him. And it is painful. Not as bad as Scuttlebutt song. Oh my god, what the fuck, Disney? How did you think, like, how do you just hear that and be like, yeah, that's good? Like, how? Who fucking cleared that? Like, how do you clear that? You just hear Awkwafina's rapping, and you're like, no, this is good. That's a rap, we're gonna take it. How? Ugh. Just anytime, like, Scuttlebutt was annoying. I didn't find Scuttlebutt annoying. Like, I think the word I was thinking for Fast and Furious, going back to that really quick, was eccentric for Jason Momoa's character. But yeah, like, that's kind of, but I wouldn't even say the same for Scuttlebutt to an extent. He was kind of out there. Like, he had energy. Yeah, he was out there, and so he wasn't like necessarily that they were trying to exude that same personality, but it just didn't work. With Awkwafina, it was annoying as fuck. It was so, like, I just couldn't stand her anytime she spoke. And the fact that she was going wah, like doing shit like that, I'm like, how am I supposed to deal with that? Anytime you talk, you like sound like a fucking duck. And then when you get to the rap, once again, how do you fucking clear that and just listen to that and clear that? And be like, that we're good. We'll take this. How? Granted, they did that with the whole movie, so I guess that's fair. Just thinking about that, like, yeah, they did with the whole movie. They released this. They still made it. They decided to release this whole thing. Wasted 2 hours, especially when ultimately, like the ball, compared to like all the other Disney remakes, by the time they get to home video, everyone's just gonna watch the original anyway. Like, oh, Little Mermaid, we're just gonna watch the original '80s one. We don't need to watch this one. At the Disney parks, like that ultimately, none of these are ever gonna be promoted as the actual version. Like when the Lion King remake came out. Oh, it came out. Okay, then but we're back to pushing regular Mufasa and Simba, like the cartoon versions. Same with Aladdin. Same thing's gonna happen with this movie. Like after, like what the movie, like the actual Disneyland and Disney World and shit, they're gonna always promote the redhead Ariel, like white redhead Ariel, the cartoon version, because no one actually cares about these. They're just shitty money grabs Disney can make like, every few years. But like, oh, we can just remake this movie and basically make the same movie, but put some, obviously maybe some woke shit in it and make it soulless, and then bam, make our money, and then we're out, and then never promote these again. And as always, everyone's just gonna end up watching the original anyway. So why? It's the same song and dance with this. This is gonna happen with this one. Like none of it was there. There was none of the acting was good. There was no. I guess besides Melissa McCarthy by default, she at least was the closest to actual Ursula, and the fact that I got to give props for them not making her sympathetic for fucking once. I got to give it on Disney, at least for this movie. But the rest of it, everybody else was terrible. Eric, I guess he's the least terrible. I still didn't like him though. Halle Bailey wasn't good. She can't act. She feels like a generic stock actor, like a lot of these newer Disney actors in general feel. They don't have any actual presence. They just feel like they all come out of a factory. They just all a conveyor belt of just generic actors, and that's what I feel like a lot of them were. Javier Bardem, you take a great actor like him and you make him just have no presence. You basically just make him a joke. Triton's a joke in this movie. What else can I say? CGI looked horrible. Had no life to it. Like it just Soulless is the perfect description. That's really what this was. And that's why I mean boring, because it had no you can't have a soul and be like there was no soul there, so it's gonna be boring too. So it makes sense why it's boring, because they didn't actually give a shit. Clearly no one did, besides Melissa McCarthy. She's like the only one who did. Everyone else just didn't. So that's why I just think it was soulless in that sense too, because no one cared, clearly. Besides maybe Melissa McCarthy. That's the sad part, when she's the only one who actually cares. Overly long. Clearly they changed the end because you basically take Eric's agency. He can't even save her because, oh no, we have to do girl boss. Girl power. And not even obviously real girl power, but no, we gotta make her save herself, so then it just defeats the purpose. And weirdos who try to, I've seen some weirdos who try to defend her saving herself thing by saying, "Oh, so you're just mad because she killed her villain?" Like, no, you just then why is Eric in this movie? If you're just gonna take his agency away and give what Eric is mostly known, let's be real, from the original. Besides her being a love interest, is he saves her in the end. You don't have that in this. Sorry about that, fucking Street Cats. You don't have that in this, so his character's just straight up is there. And I already kind of was feeling that anyway, even before that, and then you just solidified that. He doesn't even get to have his own moment because she has to save herself. And this isn't fucking like she's not fucking Batman, and Ursula's like the Joker. It's not the same fucking thing, but anyway. Yeah, everything is bad about this movie. Don't go see it. Even like to watch it online, I'd even say don't. You're just wasting 2 hours of your time. There's like literally no positive besides, I guess, Melissa. And this is to me. To you, this she could be dog shit just like everything else is in the movie. So yeah, don't watch it. Don't even. There's no need. Like maybe watch a scene on YouTube just to see how it is, but don't. There's no need to waste 2 hours of your time. There's nothing there. Like even the music is trash. There's some people who that are trying to at least because they're trying to reach for somewhat of a positive, trying to say, oh well, the music. No, the music is horrible. All of it, like the actual songs and then the score is terrible. Like it's just stock music to me. And then Aquafina's song is the ninth gate of hell. Ninth circle from hell. That is the worst thing I've ever heard. That is, oh my fucking god. That is the pain. That is painful. Like literally physically painful to listen to. That is one. Ugh. I'm just it's in my head now. Like it's one of those things. Like how do you allow that to go through and think like, oh, that's good, you know? But yeah, so I so that's really all I wanted to say. Is I needed to roast this movie because this deserves it. And I can finally just. I never want to watch this again. Disney shocked is not doing well internationally. Well, there's nothing there. Like, I don't think this movie's gonna flop, unfortunately, because people are. It comes out on a 4-day week. I think there will be a big drop though, because there is something coming out. I think this week, Spider-Man, Across the Spider-Verse. So, anyway, this movie is a 2 out of 10. There's nothing there. Fuck this movie. Fuck Disney for making this movie. Fuck Disney for continuing to make these shitty fucking remakes. But I'm happy I roasted it though, because this is everything wrong with film. This is I would say a 101 how to not do movies. So anyway, just wanted to get that off my chest. Tomorrow I actually talk about something I actually like, listing my 11 favorite movies from 1987. 1987 is my favorite year. If we're going in terms of the 80s, this is my favorite year in film in the 80s. Holy shit, the amount that came out, just Predator, Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Hellraiser, Lost Boys, Full Metal. Granted, I'll spoil Lost Boys a little bit later, lower my list, but it's up there. Full Metal Jacket, Lethal Weapon. Like, there's a lot that came out in 87. Beverly Hills Cop 2. Like, there's so much that came out that year. So I can't wait to talk about that. 88 I thought was a fun one too, but 87, yeah, there's a lot. So I'll be doing that tomorrow. Actually talking about something I actually fucking like. But yeah, fuck this movie. This movie was a soulless piece of shit. And that's really all I can say. So, but other than that, I'm gonna cheers and talk to y'all tomorrow. And along with my 80s, 87 video, it'll probably be sometime during the day or the morning, I will be reviewing The Babysitter, which I was supposed to review Friday, but I'll be doing that tomorrow, so I'll be doing 2 videos tomorrow. But anyway, cheers out and peace. But talk to y'all tomorrow. Peace.